name is Sears, and I'm an aspiring coffee artist. Really just want to find the perfect avenue of delivering everyone coffee that they've just never tasted before. So I start with fresh green coffee beans. I try to make sure that the beans are not bought through a middleman, but as directly from the farm as possible. I measure out about 2.5 ounces of coffee. I dump that into a big wok that I have preheated to about 400 degrees. And as soon as I get them in there, I just move them as fast as possible. I can't let those beans stop, because if I do, then they burn and they scorch and they look extremely uneven. I want my beans to look good. It's not as important as them tasting good, but everybody likes to just look at a big bag of evenly colored beans. I don't know, I guess that's a nerdy thing to say, but I see a big jar of coffee beans and I see something beautiful. I keep them moving, and after about 8 minutes in, the beans start to crack. And at this point, I like to have I usually just use like a lid for a big like pot that I would normally like make spaghetti in or something, and I just hold it above so that the beans don't pop at me because they hit you when they're really hot and they kind of hurt. Look like some sort of like coffee gladiator while I'm doing this. As soon as I think the beans are about done, the second crack starts, the color looks right, I can smell a sweet caramel sort of odor, and I dump them into a big metal bowl and I start moving them as fast as possible. In a larger roasting facility, they would dump it into a big sort of grate where it shakes the beans. Then underneath the grate is these tiny little fans that are cooling the coffee. I have Portland, Oregon cold air. Who needs a fan? First thing I like to do is I like to taste it on a Chemex. I start by boiling water and getting it to 212 degrees, and then it'll lower to about 200. And then from there, I preheat my Chemex to make sure that when I drip coffee through it, that the coffee isn't going to get cold from how cold the Chemex is. From there, I pour that hot water that was in the Chemex into the cup that I'm going to be serving it in. Hot coffee is absolutely crucial to the flavor, and it should never be reheated, and it should never go through any process to keep it warm. After that, I will put in the filter that I'm going to use, and I'm going to get it wet so that none of the paper taste starts to get into the brew and affect the complexity and the depth of the cup. And then for an 8-ounce cup, which is what I usually drink, I will measure out 20 to 23 grams of coffee, and then I'll grind it to a medium fine, approximately that of coarse sea salt. And then from there, I dump it into the pre-wetted filter on the Chemex, and I start by putting 60 grams of hot water in there. And this lets the coffee bloom. And that first little bit that falls down into the flask, that's going to be about 60% of the body of the coffee. That's where your flavor starts. Saturating the ground starts that release. And then I proceed to slowly pour in circles and zigzags a total of 340 grams of water. As long as every variable has been controlled, then you have a perfect cup of coffee. Well, me and my wife Rebecca are going to start our future in coffee by generating a community. we're holding a bi-monthly coffee party at our house, and every other month we're just going to offer the best coffee we can find. And every other month we're going to do a different brewing method. We're going to show people things that they never even imagined about coffee. And there's all kinds of obscure ways of making coffee, and we just want to show people how wonderful they are and just kind of like demystify the world of coffee. So we're going to start with getting everyone in the same place loving coffee.